President Trump is calling for Fed Chair Jerome Powell to be ousted. This morning, Trump says Powell's departure can't come soon enough. He's criticizing the head of the Federal Reserve that he appointed for not lowering interest rates sooner. It comes after Powell said Trump's tariffs would likely lead to even higher inflation and slower growth. The markets tumbled after that warning. So let's bring in ABC News political director Avery Harper for more on this. Trump appointed Powell, and now he's criticizing him. It looks like the timing here because Powell took him to task over inflation. I mean, what's going on?
Listen, it is important to note that Trump did appoint Jerome Powell to his post. It's also important to note that the Federal Reserve is supposed to be independent. By design, it is not to be controlled by Congress or the White House. And so calling for his firing is really in conflict with that, because the Federal Reserve is supposed to have the power and the freedom to set interest rates as it sees fit. I think the important thing to remember here is that Powell is set to leave. His term ends in May of next year. I think the question becomes, who does Trump put in that post, and will that person commit to the independence that the Federal Reserve is supposed to have?
And do we know who that might be? Are there names floating around?
Not sure. I think we have to wait and see what is going to happen. But I think when you look at the rest of Trump's cabinet and the rest of the folks that Trump puts in very high profile places, he tries to put people who are going to bend to his whims there.
The IRS is now reportedly considering revoking Harvard's exempt status. This comes after the university refused to comply with the Trump administration's demands for policy changes on campus. And now the Department of Homeland Security is demanding Harvard turn over disciplinary records on international students, or it will strip the university of its ability to enroll other students. I mean, what happens next in this case?
Right. Well, I think there are lots of really intense legal battles ahead for Harvard. In the case of the IRS, we saw Trump post about revoking the tax-exempt status of Harvard. The federal government and there are federal laws that are put in place that say that members of the executive branch can't call for the targeting or investigation of a specific taxpayer. So I think that raises legal questions. As far as the Department of Homeland Security, the university says it's aware of the request from the Department of Homeland Security, but it is not going to turn over student records to the Department of Homeland Security. So I think in the meantime, the university is going to have to dip into its endowment for, covering things like its operational budget, probably looking at paying for things like financial aid. But I think there is risk to Harvard that it might not have as much funds available to it to do things like financial aid or paying for things like research. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
And Harvard's a test case. I mean, obviously, as we were saying yesterday, there are other institutions, they don't have that kind of cash.
Exactly.
ABC News political director Avery Harper, thank you very much.
Thank you.